Hi there, I'm Chris. This is Late Listening. I've been doing a series where I talk about albums that were released in 1995 that are turning 30 this year. The next album that I want to talk about is Deftones' Adrenaline, the debut of Deftones. One of my absolute favorite records of all time, released in October of 1995. And this album has not aged a day for me. I absolutely love this record. I put this on all the time. I still listen to it all the time. Phenomenal record by Deftones. I think amongst Deftones fans, people are kind of split on this record. Old guys like me who are from the early days, we all love this album. But people who came a little later, like from the self-titled record or after, seem to think that this is a little too raw. It's not... it's not up to snuff. So, I don't know what you think, but anyway, that's what I'm talking about today. Please join me. All right, can we take a moment to appreciate the ear cleaner? What's it called? What's that thing even called? Like a syringe, I guess? Or like a... Anyway, the thing you clean the baby's ears with, and also their boogers. The cover art is amazing. That back cover, too, is like pure hardcore. That could be like a Fugazi back cover or something. I love all of the art of this. I love the kind of very 90s collage with Chino's lyrics in different fonts, and also like his handwritten lyrics, kind of collaged lyrics. I like the fact that he says lyrics by Camilo Moreno, back when he had kind of like dreads. So awesome. I always kind of forget that this album's produced by Terry Date, who produced like a bunch of later Deftones records and also Korn's debut, Pantera, and man, he's a great producer, and I feel like he brought some of the best out of them for sure. This album was recorded at Bad Animals in Seattle, Washington, the notorious studio. I did not hear Adrenaline when it first came out, like a lot of people. This was not such a famous record, even though it was on Maverick Records, which is Madonna's record company. Kind of a really random thing. I remember talking with my friends, and my friend was like, "Did you know like Maverick Records is like Madonna's record company? Like really, Madonna? Like Deftones is on Madonna's record, like vanity record project?" But yeah, I heard first. I heard My Own Summer, and so I got Around the Fur. It's kind of like Nirvana. Like I think of Adrenaline is how I think of Bleach, actually. Like I heard, the big hit My Own Summer, and I got the record and I fell in love with it. And then I went back and I was like, I got to find like anything Deftones. And so I got the My Own Summer single, which is this is actually the double disc one that has like the live stuff. And then Deftones Live, which is I think is like the same. Like it's kind of actually like all the same. I don't even know why. Like I bought it twice. But anyway, I was like, I gotta have more Deftones, more Deftones, more Deftones. And then I found Adrenaline. Adrenaline was actually really hard to find because I grew up in a little tiny town out in the middle of nowhere. We didn't have a record store. I remember I went, several hours drive to some city, and I went to a record store and I found Adrenaline, and I was so happy. And when I put it on, I was like, whoa. I mean, in a way, it's not that much different than Around the Fur, but in another way, it's like super raw and like kind of more intense in a way. It just sounds so live in the studio, so aggressive. I absolutely loved it. Let's talk about Bored. I don't see a lot of fans talking about Bored. Like, I look around sometimes on Reddit or whatever, and people talk about like best Deftones songs. Nobody talks about Bored. Like, Bored doesn't get any love. But I like it. I mean, it was a single, it's a pretty poppy song, but it's so awesome. And I love the fact that like when the record begins, Chino Moreno sings, "Hear me spit on you, wither I remold into gold, and bury I from sun." I don't know what that means to you, if it means nothing to you, but I think that's actually really awesome. I think Chino is really paying attention to sound, the vocalizations of sound, more so than the lyrics, but even so, it's like it really paints this kind of weird picture in your head. The second verse, "Reborn, left to sigh, recur, maybe I'll be born and simplify the way I lie before." I get bored. And then the chorus, I get bored. I also really like the fact that he writes from a place of boredom. Who writes from those kinds of like in between moments? Everybody writes songs about hate, about love, about, drama. But who writes a song about being bored? And yet that's something everyone can relate to. Like, everybody gets bored, everybody feels frustrated when they're bored, and then he brings it back in many songs on this record. He talks about being bored. Minus Blindfold, again, he's bored. And I get bored. Yeah, I don't know. I just really like that. I don't know. It speaks to me. I also hate being bored. I like the fact that the very last lyrics on this song are a wish for a real one. That also is a really cool line that I think nobody really talks about. One of the things that I feel like is overlooked about Deftones, and this is just my opinion, but people talk about Deftones' influences and stuff like that, and I feel like Chino's vocal style is so unique. Chino influenced so many bands, for good or for bad. I mean, there's tons of bands, especially toward the end of the '90s, that try to sound like Deftones, and especially try to sound like him. As an influence, I wonder, and I looked around and I could never really find this kind of thing, but the friendship between Jonah Matranga from Far, the band Far, and Chino, like they're good friends. They performed together. Jonah famously covered "Be Quiet and Drive" like in an acoustic version that was really, really awesome. I feel like Far, especially their early records. This is the album Water and Solutions, but I feel like Jonah's vocal style may have influenced Chino. Being friends and performing together and stuff like that. Like, I feel like there might be something there. But anyway, I absolutely love Chino. Chino's voice. He has like a higher voice, which I don't usually like higher voices. Like, I can count on one hand like the number of higher tenor voices or something that I actually like. The guy from the Mars Volta and At the Drive-In, or Chino, and there's a few, very few. But Chino just has this amazing ability to scream and bark and like just alter his voice in such weird, interesting ways. The melody lines, the vocal melody lines, are unlike any other band. I swear, it's just absolutely incredible melodies, and they're weirdly catchy, even though they're so aggressive most of the time. Deftones is amazing. Like, the more that I think about it, like, I mean, I used to listen to this album all the time, and then recently, like, going back to it, I'm like, man, this is an incredible, like, this is like a masterpiece of like, I don't want to say new metal. I'm not a big like genre person, but I really don't put Deftones into the new metal category. Even Korn and that kind of stuff. I really don't. I don't put those guys into the new metal category. I think they kind of are labeled that, and they were part of that movement, but at the same time, they're beyond that. I actually think of Deftones as like a post-hardcore, and almost like a bridge between post-hardcore and like screamo, like emo screamo that would come later. Like, I feel like Deftones is like right in the center of that. I mean, they toured with Bad Brains, for God's sake. Like, Deftones are like, they're more punk hardcore grunge than they are anything. All right, I don't want this video to be too long, so I'm going to try to move a little bit faster. Track 2, Minus Blindfold. I love this song. I love the fact that he kind of like almost kind of raps. Done feeding, I leaned back, head rested on the couch's top. Must leave the house soon, mean gone, 'cause my pops, he's hot. Grab my blue backpack, my Walkman, grip my bicycle, 'cause I know my friends are waiting at the door. I'm feeling loose like you, just fucking around and shit. Till that comes, you're 55 or 26. Yeah, I mean, who can't relate to, wanting to escape the house when your dad's pissed off or like in a weird place? Let me go, I give more, and I'm flown. And I like how throughout this record he talks about flying and I'm so flown and we could be so flown. It's such really cool lyricism. Does it mean drugs, or what does it mean? I just like the fact that he uses these really interesting words. All right, track 3, 1 week. Of course, weak as in weakness. This is another example of Chino playing with words that I really like. He says, "Nerve, here I borned, feeding on his lung. Verve is his curse, because he wanted to meet Christ alone." I don't know what that means, but it sounds freaking awesome. Like, you know. Again, I feel like he's playing with sound more than he's actually writing lyrics. But the like, because he wanted to meet Christ alone keeps coming back, and it sounds so creepy. Is it a religious thing, or is it like a suicide, or is it just a private revelation of some kind? I don't know. I don't exactly know, but it's cool to think about, and yeah, this song is just a banger. Like, I can't say enough about how much I love like the dynamics of Deftones, Chi Chang's bass, and it's just so, it's sometimes so mechanical too. Like they get like locked into these like weird grooves, like kind of Middle Eastern at times, like later in the record. And Chino himself sings in kind of a Middle Eastern way sometimes. All right, let's move on to Nosebleed, track number 4. Yeah, Nosebleed is pretty good. It's one of those songs where it's like, you can tell it's kind of like an early song, I guess. Like, it's not that amazing. Bored minus Blindfold in 1 week really, like, you know, set this album as such a great opening. And then Nosebleed too, like, I mean, it continues the energy, but it's like, I don't know if it's particularly that great of a song. And then Lifter. I love Lifter. I love that bass line. One thing I like about Adrenaline is that Chino is always like stretching out his voice so much. Like he's always just like, he's really emoting as the music is just so intense, and like the, you know, the bass and the drums and everything are just kind of going nuts, and Chino's just like floating above it. All right, track number 6, Root. Recently listening to this again, you know, the chorus where he says, "Cannot fuck to be me, and you won't find me, you won't find me." I actually was reminded of Korn's The Nothing from 2019. The track 3, You'll Never Find Me. And this is actually a really great record from Korn. I don't know if you like Korn, if you like Deftones. I mean, that doesn't necessarily go together, but I am kind of assuming maybe you do. One more thing about Root. I love the kind of Middle Eastern influence of this song, the bass line, and toward the end of the song, like Chino has this really interesting vocal melody. And he hits some of the highest notes that he ever would in any other song. Anyone who's ever been to a Deftones show will know that to be in the pit during 7 words is like, I can't survive. I'm not a large person. I'm very small, very thin, and I get the shit kicked out of me during a song like that. But I feel like 7 words is kind of like a proto My Own Summer, you know? Like suck, suck, suck becomes shove it, shove it, shove it. I don't know. But also, toward the end of the song, Chino actually raps again, which is really awesome. Of course, there's going to be some hip hop in there, and then look at what like Chino did, you know, with Korn, or like, you know, he does the intro. You know, Chino's on the intro to "Rock Superstar" by Cypress Hill.
We got a lot of sharks out there trying to take a bite of something.
Just incredible, like blending of genre. I like the fact that he uses the N-word like so flippantly. I think that he's talking about the racist police officer, I assume, to the jury. "Carry your turns on my skin, this color. Does that mean I'm burnt?" Like, this song is pretty intense. Like there's a lot of social justice lyrics in this song. It's kind of buried a little bit, but like, you know, "Bitch, you don't know me. Shut up, you don't know me. Squeal like a pig when you pickpocket your big fucking head." What? I think it's really cool that Chino was kind of trying out, like, you know, speaking up against like racial discrimination and oppression. And after all, Chino himself, I mean, he comes from a biracial family, and you know, I'm sure that he had some shit when he was a kid. All right, track number 8, Birthmark. Again, talking about being bored. "It's just me, I'm bored, carried lung, now I could be right with her, in whole, cherished by 2. It makes you fly, yes, I'll lie. Drink one more so I could go right in her. In whole drinks won't stain this birth. What does it mean? I don't know. It's a cool song, though. Birthmark. Yeah. All right, track 9, engine number 9. I love the fact that 7 words is track number 7 and engine number 9 is track 9. Like, I don't know why I like that. I just, my OCD self just appreciates the fact that, like, everything is, like, right where it's supposed to be. So I guess the title of the song comes from Black Sheep, The Choice Is Yours, which I didn't realize until I did a little research. I love the fact that they put that in there, though. Like, I mean, again, Deftones, like, synthesizing hip-hop and metal and you know, shoegaze and like whatever Depeche Mode is, like that kind of stuff. The Cure. Then track number 10, Fireal, or For Real. It's for real, right? It foreshadows like what Deftones will become. It's really like experimental, and the lyrics surreal also. Like, we are beggars, and I will meet you 4th floor. Then we'll make up, no fist to fucking save you from. You knocked me out. Everything felt good, everything was right at first, when I was so curbed to no mad dog. Life before I would shine down unshy. I want to be much, then more, while I watch you. I love that too, like, I want to be much, then more. I love the way he sings that, it's so beautiful. This song is just really, like, you can tell they put a lot of effort into, like, all the little changes and how it kind of evolves. Even at this early stage, like, they're really kind of taking chances, and they're not just making like straight up punk or straight up metal, straight up hardcore or anything like that. Like, they're such a mixture of all different kinds of things. You can't really pinpoint what exactly Deftones are, and that's why I never put them into the nu metal category. Yeah. And then there's a secret song, Fist, which is a great just metal jam. I love that song too. Great closer to the record. Yeah, Adrenaline. Such a good album. One of the greatest debuts of all time. And I love Deftones. I love everything they've ever done, you know. But yeah, I hold Adrenaline up as like a great, you know, first step. Even if you love other albums more, like Adrenaline is like a solid debut. So anyway, I'd like to know what you think. Please let me know in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again.